So let's fast forward to Saints and Bears in the Super Wild Card round of the playoffs, I should say. The line went up to 10 points. Are the Saints that much better than Chicago?
Don't pay attention to the line. Go out there and win a game. On paper, yes. The game is not played on paper, though. That's the problem. You have to go out there on the field and go out there and prove it. And I think enough of those guys understand and know what's at stake, particularly when you look back the last couple of years, how particularly last year, you haven't performed up to your standard. Normally in a given year, the new rules, et cetera, you add a seventh team and number 2 doesn't get a bye. Normally this would be a bye week for you anyway, but you got to play. So don't take it for granted.
Deuce, how much do you think that film, or you tell me, if you've played a team earlier in the year, how much are you paying attention to that film when y'all played earlier?
I'm gonna go back and watch it. I mean, I'm definitely gonna go back and watch it. I'm gonna watch it probably 3 or 4 times. One, I'm not necessarily looking for schemes. I'm looking for tendencies from players. I'm looking to see how did this player play against this play. I'm looking for tendencies. I'm not necessarily looking for schemes. I mean, because if you go back and watch that film, the Saints were a totally different team in a lot of different areas. You didn't have Michael Thomas. You didn't have Emmanuel Sanders. You were heavily leaning on Alvin Kamara. Well, the last 5 games, the Saints aren't that team anymore. So if I'm watching that film, I am looking for tendencies as far as players are concerned, and then I'm going to go back and look at the last 3 or 4 games and try to find some tendencies from defensive calls. Now, look, I mean, they're not going to totally change and say, hey, look, against the Saints, we played man-to-man. That's mainly what they did against us. Well, I figured they'll go more quarters, against us this time. But you still want to see how a guy plays certain plays as well as, some tendencies from calls, et cetera.
Which Mitch are we going to see from the Bears? The good Mitch Trubisky or the bad Mitch Trubisky? Which one do you think we'll see?
Probably mid to mild Mitch Trubisky. I mean, he's been good. He's been good for him. For them, if the Saints are doing what they need to do offensively, he has to be elite. And I just don't know if that he can take it to that level, as far as elite. Because offensively, if the Saints are doing what they need to do, that's putting a lot of pressure on them from an offensive standpoint, where you can't run Montgomery as much. Mitch Trubisky has to take more chances than you would probably want him to do. But that's saying the Saints offensively, they are scoring points and putting pressure on the Bears offense, where they have to kind of match them from a point-to-point standpoint. And so that's what the Saints offense has to be able to force Mitch Trubisky to kind of be a bad player, or the bad Mitch Trubisky.